So, hindi ko alam kung nagre-record na. Hopefully it is. Okay, so yun, nakita ko na yung recording. So, good morning class and welcome to your Strategic Cost Management class. Strategic Management Cost Part 2. So, kung napansin nyo class, no, yung naging approach natin in our class is we've completed first all those more complex topics, no? So, business planning, no? So, you more on topics that require calculations, no? So, we've completed all that. And good thing is for the second half, we'll be dealing with theoretical topics only, no? So, it's of equal importance. Kaya naman, kung sabi mo na if you've devoted so much time during the first part of our subject, I would expect no that you will also do the same no in order for you to appreciate all the topics that we're going to discuss. Diba? Remember last week we've looked into compensation, no executive compensation, the importance of uh, providing them a good compensation package, also providing them a compensation that is linked to the company performance, ano yung magiging advantage nun, ano also yung mga magiging disadvantages. Kasi nga naman, di ba napag-usapan natin, if there's no check and balance, probably this manager whose bonuses are linked to company performance, baka magkaroon ng i-delay niya, for example, yung recognition of of a particular expense, no? So those types of scenarios, no? So sinasabi natin is it can happen, no? But there has to be controls, no, in place, and that's why yung Sarbanes-Oxley for specifically class, no, Sarbanes-Oxley controls no were put into implementation no. So most multinational companies, especially those linked to sabi natin no to s- especially those linked to a US entities no, so they would intend to practice no implementing SOX no. So if you're not familiar with SOX, so Sarbanes-Oxley, basically Sarbanes is a senator and then Oxley, ganun kasi no, yung form of government natin in the Philippines is somehow linked or somehow patterned to the US no. So like in my case no, so we do SOX testing no on a quarterly basis no. So we look into uh, making sure that the documentations are in place, all the approvals are uh, sought out prior to say posting a journal transactions no. So imagine there's also materiality involved no. So in order for us to make sure that all these checks and balances are in place no, so we would uh, want to make sure no, of course, that the financial statement is prepared in such a manner that is accurate and representing really the position or the performance of the entity. Okay. So yun, kaya sinasabi ko palagi class, we should be also exerting effort no, in order for us to understand this theoretical part. No? So natapos na tayo dun sa more exciting part kasi nga naman no, as an accountant or in your case as accounting students, uh, kung parehas tayo ng mindset, mas ano tayo no? Mas gusto natin yung nagso-solve calculations and all, no? So tapos na tayo dun during the first part of the semester, no? So kaya you should stay awake, no? So whenever like for today, I will do um, all the talking, no? For sabihin na natin for the next hour, no? So just to give you the flavor of this competitive strategy. Ang maganda dito, class, this is very important and you can also apply it no in your own lives no. So it's really not just applicable to entities no, mamaya pag-uusapan natin yan. And also what I'm planning to do class is as we cover these topics no, I'll also share with you yung ginawa kong paper for my MBA, no. So during my MBA class, I hope class ah, maayos yung audio ko, no, kasi I'm not very familiar with Gmeet. I use Zoom, no, as you know. Hindi ko nakikita kasi kung nagfa-function yung mic ko, no. But anyway, mukhang sige nga pa-kaway lang muna or pa-chat kung rinig ako ng maayos. Kita mo pati chat box ni ayun, sige. Sige, thank you, Raisa. So, sige. 'Yun, what I'm planning to do is I will share with you also yung actual presentation ko, no, during the completion of my MBA class, no. So, I presented strategic management during my strategic management course, Pfizer, no. So Pfizer naging entity ko at that time. At that time naman kasi I was employed with Pfizer. That was nearly 8 years ago, no. So at least I was able uh, to keep my presentations, no, at that time. So I'll share with you also that as well. And then later on, we'll also discuss different management techniques, no? So pag-uusapan ngayon natin yung mga different management techniques employed by the entities. Ngayon, meron akong i-share na video as well later on Toyota, no? So Toyota is a very good example to illustrate these cost management techniques, no? So but later on we'll go through that. Sige. So I hope you can see my screen okay. Let's do this. Ayan. So class, remember I'm using two screens. So right now I'm in front of my laptop, but I'm going to use my other screen, the bigger one, no? So hindi ko na rin nakikita yung mukha ko sa video, no? So anyway, so once again class, good morning to everyone and welcome to your strategic cost management part 2. Today we'll cover developing a competitive strategy and contemporary cost management techniques. What are our learning objectives? Number one, understand the basic approach of how a firm's competitive strategy is developed. Number two, explain the strategic measures of success. Ito yung mga critical success factors. No? So later on, we'll also cover that. Three, describe the two basic competitive strategies. Ito, two basic strategies kasi. Number one is cost differentiation and but also we'll cover that. And then what we're going to do is we'll analyze Pfizer, no. So which of these two competitive strategies they employ, no. And of course finally understand and describe the contemporary cost management techniques. So developing a competitive strategy, no? So strategy is a set of goals and specific action plans that, if achieved, provide the desired competitive advantage. So it is a set of policies, procedures, and approaches to business that produces long-term success. So remember class, no? So we keep talking about tactical and strategic goals, no? So basically, ang difference lang naman yan is pag tactical, these are uh, more short-term. And then pag strategic naman, it's long term. But of course, no, those tactical goals that we have should be in line with our strategic goals. No? So parang ganito yan. I'll just give you an example. Let's take for example si Xerox na lang. No? So ang ultimate goal ni Xerox is to be, sabihin na lang natin, number one document company in the world. No? So in order for them, so yun yung strategic goal to become the number one. Syempre, um, alongside para maging number one ka, dapat yung market share mo, 'di ba? You should be occupying a huge chunk of the total market share. Ngayon, kung yun yung strategic plan mo, what will be the tactical plans, no? So of course, sabi natin, 'di ba, tactical plan or tactical goal should be in line with your strategic goal, no? So, paano 'yun? So, sabihin natin tactical goal is to reduce costs, to reduce non-value adding activities, no? So, ganun ka specific class, no? So kaya nga naman, I'm not sure if I was able to share with you class, no? So Xerox Philippines is going through well, it will be closed, no, very soon. Kasi nga 'di ba, Xerox Philippines is more of shared service arm of Xerox Corporation, no? So we don't have uh, we don't have the selling arm in the Philippines, no. Fuji Xerox is a it's a different entity. It's a joint venture between the Fuji of Japan and Xerox. So, but they aim to manufacture machineries and then of course, no, so sell it within the Asia Pacific region. But it's different, no. So Xerox Philippines will be closed, pero it's not just Xerox Philippines, no. So the whole shared service arm the of Xerox will be closed, no. So they have top another company where those activities will be transferred, no. So it's a BPO company. It's called Tata Consulting, Tata Consultancy Services or Tata Consulting Services. So it's called TCS. So the downside, no? So for me, ito lang, no? Personally, the downside of transferring from a shared service to a BPO, probably I lose um, much flexibility, no? Kasi nga I enjoy so much flexibility in Xerox that I get to do a lot of things in the I mean, a lot of things aside from work, like we're output based, no, so we can plan our schedule ahead, no. So I'm not required to work 8 hours in a day, just so long that so I mean, so far as I'm able to complete, no, all the required tasks, no? So in BPO kasi, uh, 'di ba, palagi natin pinag-uusapan ano bang difference ng shared service with the BPO, no? So shared service basically only caters to the entity itself, no? So like in our case, uh, Xerox Philippines caters to Xerox only, no? Xerox transactions or Xerox accounting uh, processes worldwide. But in BPO kasi, they can cater to one or more clients, no? So kaya nga they are very heavily involved in efficiency measures, no? So yun nga ang heads up agad sa amin is we'll probably be doing time and motion analysis, no? So in time and motion analysis, basically you log in. Kung halimbawa ginawa mo yung activity A, and then they will measure how many units are spent, no, to complete activity A. No? So things like that. No? So that's probably not the ideal setup for me, especially at this stage of my career. Uh, but the upside is TCS is a huge company, no? So ito yung mindset ko, no? Ito dapat yung iniisip ko. TCS it's a huge company. In fact, it's present, no, in um, in different parts of the world, no. So well, head office is in India, no. So in basic probably this is what I'm hoping, no. So when we get to transfer to TCS, probably there will be a lot of opportunities to be open for us. Kasi like in my case, I've been working for Xerox for 8 years. I've been directly reporting to the country manager. No, and the country manager, while he's a foreigner, he also has his own family in the Philippines. So probably that role he won't be giving up that role, and that's why I'm aspiring for a more regional uh, type of roles, eh, no? So yun yung pinaka uh, uh, aim ko or ambition in the short run, eh, no? So yun. So at least, no, na pag-usapan natin yung strategic and tactical, no. So like here, no, so we have a mission, specific performance objectives. Ito yung mga tactical plans natin, then actions to achieve those objectives. So okay, so it is a set of policy. Actually, naulit lang to, no? So, but kung napansin nyo, meron lang mga set of more specific terms, ano? So like if we aim to be number one, say ito 20 years, no, but it's too long. Also specific performance objectives for 5 years and the actions to achieve these objectives for the current year. Okay, so competitive strategies followed by business houses or different entities. No? So we have re-engineering operational processes, downsizing the workforce. Ito, especially in the early 2000s, this is prominent, no? Especially in different entities in highly developing countries, no, so they downsize the workforce and then eventually outsource the service functions, no. So in the early days of yun nga, during I think, no, the BPO industry boom during the Aquino administration, no. So kaya nga 'di ba si Mar Rojas was hailed as the father of the BPO industry. So at that time, it's really and that's why they also came up with different measures, no? So exempting these BPO entities. Basically, at that time, really to encourage them to set up business here in the Philippines, and they were successful, no? So next to India, tayo talaga yung uh, huge in terms of business process outsourcing. Ito pa, class, no? Uh, ang gusto kasi sa atin ng mga multinational entities is we speak English language very well, no? So, gusto daw nila yung accent natin. It's uh, very good to, I mean, very easy to listen to, ano? So, ewan ko kung tama ba yun. Pero at least, no, uh, uh, lumalaban kasi tayo in terms of speaking in English. Ano? So, developing smaller and efficient organizations. No? So, ito, um, basically, we look into the activities of the entire department and then try to um, compress it, no, in just a smaller team or organization, no? Societal organizational policies and structures, and then finally mergers and acquisitions, no? So mergers and acquisitions naman, class, this will be dealt in full, no, when you go through your advanced financial accounting and reporting, but we'll also touch on this. Okay, so strategic measures of success. So we have financial measures of success. Pag financial measure, ano ba yung pinag-uusapan natin? Of course, sales growth, earning growth, dividend growth, itong bond and credit rating, di ba napag-usapan natin how important these credit ratings are, especially this time of pandemic, no? So like for instance, Philippines na lang, we were able to maintain our investment grade, no? So anong ibig sabihin nun? So um, while we are in this crisis, no, so we're able to maintain our investment grade. So it will be easier for us to secure loans, no. So that's how important these credit ratings are. Of course, cash flow, sabi natin palagi, no. So while your financial statement, particularly your income statement, is presenting net income, it's good, but we should also be looking at our cash flow. Baka naman puro ka recorded unrealized profit lang, no? And yet it doesn't translate to real cash, no? And of course, finally, increase in share price. Sabi natin, 'di ba? Uh, when we discuss yung sa valuation of stock, no? So there are internal and external factors that contribute to the increase in share price, no? So itong strategic measures of success natin, class, ito yung mga factors also included in your balance scorecards, no? So next, 'di ba? Pinag-usapan natin kanina yung financial measures. Ito naman yung mga non-financial measures, no? So we have customer measures. It includes market share, customer service, delivery, customer satisfaction, brand recognition, and market position. No? So, brand recognition na lang. So, typical example would be, pag inutusan ka bumili nga lang ng toothpaste, no? So, pabili nga po ng Colgate, pero you're referring to close up. No? So, imagine that brand recognition um, being that Colgate has established. No? So, next, we have internal business process. We have product quality, manufacturing innovation, productivity, cycle time, and reduction in waste. No? So basically, we look into the business processes and then cut on uh, this will improve on product quality and reduce, no, those waste involved. And finally, we have learning and innovation. No? So it involves competence, integrity, education and training, motivation, and innovation. No? Innovation in terms of really looking into the processes where we can innovate. No? So um, ito yung naging challenge ngayon usually in shared service and BPO. No? Ito rin yung nagiging dilemma, or sabihin natin yun nga, challenge for, especially for those people, no, who are not really welcoming of change, no. So kasi uh, in shared service or in BPO, nangyayari dyan is they look into the whole processes and then find ways where they can uh, automate, no. So and syempre once those processes are already automated, eh baka yung 8 hours initially being spent on this activity, we reduce it to 30 minutes or so. No? So, classic example, class, yung um, uh, we call it process robot automation. No? So, tama. Process robot automation, it's an application. No? So, basically, we look into desktop procedures. We sat down with the accountants doing that particular role, and then basically along the process we look into activities that can be done by the robot, no. So in simply one click, no, sabihin natin ng ginagawa mo is nag-extract ka ng data from the system, and then at the same time you reconcile it with another source data, no. So imagine yun lang pag-extract, no, it might take you time to do that, tapos i-reconcile mo pa, yun, those type of transactions, those type of activities within the process are non-value adding. In such a way na anong value ang i-add ng mag-extract ka ng data, no? So it's non-value adding. We cut it, we let the robot do those parts so that you can focus on a more value adding activities. Ano yun? Yung analysis, yung interpretation of those numbers, no. So right now you dun na, kaya nga we call ourselves center of excellence, you know. So we focus on analysis, no, really to provide guidance, no, to decision makers, no. So imagine uh, we cut all those non-value adding activities so we can focus on those activities that can add value to the business. Sige. So it's strategic measure of success. Parang ano lang to, no? How to measure. Anyway, alam na agad natin to. So like sales, no? So we look into the level of sales, no? Sales trend, no? This is very important, no? Percent of sales from new products. Profitability naman, syempre ito yung earnings from operations, earnings trend, and dividend growth, no? Liquidity, we look into the different financial ratios like inventory turnover, receivable turnover, and credit ratings. Market value naman, of course, share price will be a good indicator. No? In terms of non-financial measures of success, customer factors, we have for customer function of as customer satisfaction, of course, yun customer returns and then complaints, customer survey. No? Dealer and distributor coverage and strength of dealer and distributor channel relationships, number of dealers per state or region, marketing and selling, so trends in sales performance, training, market research, activities and measured in hours or peso. Ngayon, kasi nagkakaroon ng um, with the introduction of social media class, no? So nagkaroon din syempre, it revolutionized, no? So the way people in the marketing and selling department actually markets or sells their products, no? So they tap on different we call it influencers, no? Ayun pala ang bayad pala sa mga influencers is depending on the number of their followers, no? So, so of course, the more followers they have, they can ask for more pay, no? So quality or timeliness muna pala, timeliness of delivery, on time delivery performance, time from order to customer receipt, and finally quality. So customer complaints, warranty expense, no? So ito lang um, sa TikTok lang class no? So I'm not sure with you, no? So it's very addictive. And ang maganda sa TikTok, alam mo yung nag-search ka lang ng isang item sa sabi mo lang sa Shopee. All of a sudden, uh, there will be advertisements in TikTok, in your TikTok account, in your Facebook, in Instagram, no? So yun yung algorithm behind, no? So it's really powerful. So internal business process, of course, we have quality. Ano ba yung how to measure critical success factor, no, in terms of qualities? Of course, number of defects, number of returns, customer survey, amount of scrap, amount of rework, field service reports, and warranty claims, vendor quality defects. In terms of productivity naman, yung sa cycle time, no, so pinag-usapan na rin natin ito previously, it's from the purchase of raw materials to finished product. So of course, labor efficiency, machine efficiency, amount of waste, of rework, and scrap. So flexibility, setup time and cycle time, equipment readiness, so downtime, operator experience, machine capacity, maintenance. So safety naman, of course, number of accidents and effects and accidents. Ito lang pag-usapan natin briefly, class. No? So in terms of safety, uh, siguro one good example of an entity, no, so implementing this would be Shell, no. So yung Shell kasi, they have a separate, no, department focus on um, I forgot what the acronym stands for, no, but they have this OHHSC. So but really the function of that department is to make sure that, well, the environment is safe, no. In fact, uh, prior to, naalala ko noon, I have well, I was employed with Shell, no, prior to Pfizer and Xerox, but during the pandemic, no, so the early stage of pandemic, prior to the lockdown, they're already implementing work from home, no? So months before the implementation of the lockdown by the government, no? So that's how they value really, no, the safety of their employees. So learning and innovation naman, so we have product innovation, number of design changes, number of new patents, no? So itong product innovation class, especially sa Pfizer na lang, no? So they're very heavily involved, no, in different research and development in order to ensure so that they innovate products, no, so to cater more patients uh, in the world, no. So timeliness of new product, number of days over or under the announced ship date, skills development, so number of training hours, amount of skill performance and improvement, employee morale, so employee turnover, so meaning ito yung number of employees resigning, no, from the entity, number of complaints, employee survey. Employee survey, no, so this is a powerful tool uh, that if an entity use, 'di ba sabi kasi natin, 'di ba, people are our best asset, and of course in order for those assets to perform well, we should be um, listening to them. And employee survey is one form to listen to our employees. Competence, we have the rate of turnover, training, experience, adaptability, tsaka yung succession planning, no? So it's also important. Other factors, no? So we have government relations, number of violations, community service activities. So what are the consequences, class, for lack of strategic information? So of course, strategic decision making based on guess and intuition, no? So pakiramdam ko ito 'yan. Yung mga gano'n, eh, 'di ba? So if we lack planning, no? So planning na lang eh, no? So parang sa CPA board na lang. So imagine taking up the CPA board, no? Tapos sasabihin mo, pag papasa ako diyan suntok sa buwan na lang. No? So kasi nga nanghula ka lang ng hula, you didn't really prepare for it, no? So kaya nga ang palagi kong sinasabi, as early as now, no? While you're in the undergrad, you should be aiming to pass the CPA board exam, no? So you should aim always for a perfect score, no? So kasi nga naman, 'di ba, pag perfect score ang gusto mo, if you fail to do so, meron ka pa mga ibang steps, no? Ibang marks available, like otherwise kasi kung halimbawa you're aiming for a passing mark, eh 'di ba? Pag ang passing mark would be 75. Eh kung yun lang ang aim mo, pag nag 74 ka, it's already um, a failing mark. Yun pala, class, no? Just very recently, the Board of Accounting released, no, new syllabus for the CPA board exam, no? So you might as well try to look into that. Lack of clarity in direction and goals, lack of clear perception by customers and suppliers, incorrect investment decisions, no? So imagine, ineffective to benchmark competitors, failure to identify most profitable, no, so product, customers, and markets. Okay, class. So we go now to competitive strategy. No? So sabi natin there are two types of competitive strategies. Number one, cost leadership, and number two, differentiation, or cost differentiation. Pag-usapan muna natin yung cost leadership. So cost leadership is a competitive strategy in which a firm succeeds in producing products or services at the lowest cost in the industry. So cost leader remains only so long as the consumer sees that product or service is at least nearly equivalent to competing product that costs somewhat more. O sige nga, ah, ano kaya yung product na pwede natin or entity na pwede natin mailagay as cost leadership? Ito na lang, generics, generics drug manufacturing. Ay, ang sikat dyan is yung right med, 'di ba? Sorry. So yung right med, 'di ba, ang offering nila is huwag ka mahiyang magtanong, 'di ba? Kung may right med ba nito? Naalala ko kasi yung right med kasi nga generics, no? So pag sinabi natin generics, basically they copy formulation, no, by the innovative pharmaceutical companies, and then of course kasi nga wala nang research and development behind, they can sell it at a much lower price. So that's cost leadership. Pag-usapan natin yung differentiation. So differentiation is a competitive strategy in which a firm succeeds by developing and maintaining a unique value for the product as perceived by consumers. No? So, just before we go through the different techniques in cost management, ito na yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina. I'll share with you my presentation, no, for Pfizer. This is actually my actual presentation during my MBA, no. So this is what I have presented to the panel, no? So pero siyempre hindi natin pag-usapan lahat, 'no? Kailangan lang natin yung bits and pieces that will help us to understand more yung topic natin on strategic planning, no? Strategic cost management, no? So, I presented there the five forces, no? So, five forces, ito yung uh, concept that was introduced by Michael Porter. Ito yung Porter's five forces. No? So sabi natin, there are five forces daw that will impact the entity. No? So tandaan na, ang mindset natin dito is Pfizer. Pfizer, the pharmaceutical company. So rivalry of competition. So sabi ko dito, increasing number of pharmaceutical companies in the Philippines, it's strong. No? Meron din dito prevalence of counterfeit drugs. So moderate lang. Kasi ang assessment ko at that time, eh, government naman is really there, no, to uh, combat itong mga counterfeit drugs. Kaya nga 'di ba sa news lang, palagi tayong may nakita o ni-raid diyan sa Binondo, ni-raid kung saan-saan, no? Stricter regulatory environment, strong. Kasi nga naman, 'di ba, we have this minimum drug retail price law o yung MDRP law where they set prices to different drugs, no? Potential for new entrants, tightening of the regulatory environment, high amount of investment. So ang assessment ko dito is weak. Bargaining power of suppliers, so physicians, prescription and influence among patients, sabi natin still strong. Ito yung mga prescriptions, no? Ano ba yung mga uh, 'di ba? Well, the requirement for the physicians is to prescribe yung generic name of the medicine, no? But there are also physicians uh, who who prefer to uh, prescribe yung mga branded medicine, of course, no? So bargaining power of buyers naman, of course, continued price regulation, the need for medicine due to various diseases, rising demand for the over-the-counter products, so ito very strong, distribution through Mercury Drugs, and distribution through Zwillig Pharma. Potential for substitutes, use of alternative medicines. No? So while I um, rated it as weak, no? So but it's really happening, especially in the Philippines. No? So yung mga dahon-dahon lang. No? So yun. So competitive profile matrix. No? So basically what I did here in this exercise is I rated Pfizer, Unilab, and yung GlaxoSmithKline. No? So ito yung, these are the top two competitors that Pfizer has in the Philippines. So ito namang external factor evaluation. No? So what are the opportunities and threats? Internal factor evaluation. No? So strengths and weaknesses naman ng Pfizer. Pag internal kasi, 'di ba, we look into our uh, really processes within the entity, no? And then ito na, summary of strategies, no? So we look into the different strategic functions or processes, and then I came up with market penetration and product development as my key strategic options, no? Ito, how can Pfizer Philippines grow its market share given that market growth is projected at a CAGR of 5.5% during 2017 to 2020, as well as a thriving generics market and the premium price imposed to its product? And this is the strategic challenge, no? So the recommended vision, we will remain as one of the top two pharmaceutical companies by 2021. We will be the preferred partner of the key stakeholders in shaping healthcare environment to improve access to quality healthcare. Ito yung importante. Pansinin, yung strategic objectives natin, di ba pinag-usapan natin kanina, ah, it has to be specific. Sabi dyan, to grow Pfizer Philippines market share to 15% by end of 2019 and maintain its position as one of the top two pharmaceutical companies in the Philippines. Or remember class, no? So when I prepared this, it was sometime in 2017. No? So that's why ito yung in-envision ko, no, when I prepared my my paper at that time, no. So syempre this is the strategic plan. Of course, meron tayong mga tactical, no? So, we won't be able to increase our market share to 15% kung hindi natin tinitignan yung financial attributes. No? Of course, we have to grow our revenue, our net revenue, our net income. Paano yun? So, by incorporating different marketing activities. Sabi dyan, grow the cardiovascular product category market share to 15% by 2019, no? So we look into the different offerings, no, in terms of our cardiovascular. So sabi ko pa diyan, internal process, so product application kasi it takes a while, no? It takes long to simply register a product with the uh, Food and Drug Authority dito lang sa Philippines, no? So kung napapansin nyo, yung COVID vaccines natin, where COVID vaccines at that time were already available in the market, but yet they cannot uh, they cannot use it until such time the FDA approves it, or BFAR or BFAD approves it. Kaya nga 'di ba meron sila mga issuances like emergency use, no? So kasi nga it takes a while. Learning and growth increase the number of promotions and cross-functional movements in the organization by 20% towards the end of 2019. See, this is how important people in the organizations are. Kaya nga naman, in order for us, this is how I envisioned it, no? In order for us to increase it to 15, increase the market share to 15%, we should also be looking at the welfare of our employees. So by making sure that they get promoted, or kung hindi man promotion, they get to be transferred to um, different functions in Pfizer, no? So eto na, product development. So there are products still, no, in research and development stage, but will be ito yung tinatawag na products in the pipeline that will be also be registered with FDA, and finally uh, for public consumption. So imidine, okay, so market penetration, of course, Hospira. Okay, ito naman yung balance scorecard, no? So ito yung pinag-usapan natin kanina, financial perspective. O, so sabi dyan, very specific. Sabi ko, increase gross revenue to 37 billion, increase net revenue to 28 billion, and finally increase income before tax to 10 billion. Customer perspective naman, improve patient adherence, increase coverage of national immunization program to government, increase members of Pfizer Sulit Care. Itong Pfizer Sulit Care, uh, we we partnered with Mercury, no? So kasi 'di ba sa Mercury Suki card, so Pfizer naman has Sulit Care program. Process perspective, so increased number of private corporations under Sulit Care, ito na nga yun, increased number of covered hospitals, no? In terms of learning and growth perspective naman, on time completion of IDP, ito yung individual development plan, and increased number of movements and promotions. So basically, this will be the key critical success factors, no, indicators. Okay, so I think that's it. No? Uh, so of course, there's the projected balance sheet and cash flow. Yes, so that's my presentation during my MBA. So I pass it naman, so I am happy. Ganito na lang, class. No? So let's pause for a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back to discuss part 2 of our topic for today, in terms of the different cost management techniques. No? So let's pause for 5 minutes and then come back, class. Ha? So inom ka muna or stretching, drink a glass of water. I'll see you in 5 minutes. Okay, sige. Puntahan ngayon natin yung second part ng discussion natin. So, we go to the different techniques in cost management. Pero bago yan, let's watch a short video, no? So, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina sa inyo on Toyota. Pa-confirm lang ako, class, na dinig din, ha? Kasi sa Zoom, meron ako tinatik na box doon just to make sure na yung audio is available. Sige, try muna natin. Dinig ba? O, isa pa, ha? So, meron bang sound? No audio. O,
Wala.
sige, sige. Try ko. I'll try to fix it. Stop presenting your entire screen to. O, paano kaya ilalagay ang sound? Mhm. Okay, ito yata. Ayan, share tab audio. Share. Okay, sige, let's do this. Isa pa, ha, bago natin i-press tuloy.
Make cars. It does it so well, it became the first
Meron ng sound? Yun, very good. Thank you, Billy.
company to produce
Ito. Full screen.
Toyota knows how to make cars. It does it so well, it became the first company to produce more than 10 million a year. Its success is rooted in a special system and began what's now known as lean manufacturing, an ethos emulated by companies around the world to make products faster, cheaper and better. Here's how Toyota changed the way we make things. Following the Second World War, Japan was left in a precarious economic position.
Steel and other metals are scarce.
Already disadvantaged by lacking natural resources, materials were hard to come by, and companies had to be creative to compete. Toyota's founder, Sekichi Toyoda, had started a loom business, but it was his son Kichiro who founded the motor company in 1937. They were used to working within narrow margins. As the shortage of materials increased during the war, the number of headlamps on its Model K truck was reduced to one, and it only had brakes on one of the axles. The turning point for Toyota's production system would come in the early 50s, when Kichiro's cousin Eiji would travel to the US with a veteran loom machinist, Taiichi Ono. They visited Ford's River Rouge plant in Michigan and were impressed by the scale of the operation, but knew that in cash-strapped Japan, companies didn't have the resources for such a system. Having months' worth of stock sitting in a warehouse would tie up precious capital they didn't have. Instead, what truly impressed Ono was a visit to a supermarket, a Piggly Wiggly, according to legend. Japan didn't really have self-service stores at this point, and he was struck by the way customers could choose exactly what they wanted, when they wanted. He decided to model his production line on a similar idea. With the supermarket formula, only enough parts were produced in the first phase to replace what was used in the second, and so on. This is where the just-in-time system really took shape. Toyota was able to eliminate much of the waste in Ford's system, making smaller numbers of parts to be used when it needed them, allowing the company to operate on a tighter budget. As part of this, Ono developed Kanban, a sign-based scheduling method which shows goods in production, and goods out. It's now seen as a precursor to barcodes. Ono and Toyota also noticed that American car companies were still employing many of Henry Ford's early production techniques. They kept operations at full tilt in order to maximize efficiencies of scale, but then had to repair defective cars after they rolled off the line. Ono believed this caused more problems and didn't encourage workers or machines to stop making the mistake. So he placed a cord above every station which any worker could pull to stop the entire assembly if they spotted a problem. The whole team would work on it to prevent it from happening again. As teams identified more problems, the number of errors began to drop dramatically. Combined with a culture of continuous incremental improvement called Kaizen, the Toyota production system built a brand known for making reliable and affordable cars. But Toyota was also getting good at producing cars quickly. In 1962, the company had produced 1 million vehicles. By 1972, they'd produced 10 million. It was around that time that the efficiencies of their factories enabled Toyota to produce a car every 1.6 man-hours, much lower than their competitors in the US, Sweden, and Germany. And as the oil crises of the decade sent gas prices higher, cheap-to-run Japanese cars became much more appealing to Americans, whose powerful but gas-guzzling vehicles suddenly became very expensive to run. Today, Toyota has made over 250 million vehicles. Others have looked to them to learn the lessons of lean, combining craft with mass production, avoiding waste while striving for constant improvement. Boeing is perhaps the most famous, restructuring a plant to better suit TPS. Intel is another long-time lean ambassador and is exploring the principles in the context of AI and the Internet of Things. A Canadian hospital even used Toyota's system to decrease wait times in its ER. The Toyota production system changed not just how cars are made globally, but how we approach making things full stop. It also showed that there's always a better way to make a product.
So yun class, no? So nakita nyo yung video about Toyota. So they employed a number of different cost management techniques na pag-uusapan natin in the succeeding slides. Um, there's also another video pero I won't be showing it to you. Pero hanapin niyo naman yung video ng McDonald's, no? Yung I think I watch it in there's a film, no, in Netflix. I think it's called Founders, no. But what amazed me in that film is they also tried to re-engineer yung process. Imagine, no, yung paggawa lang ng burger, no. So they have the process, and that process is still being implemented right now in different McDonald's stores, no? Sige, let's cover the different techniques. So just in time, ito, also in the video, no, so that we watch for Toyota, they're also implemented itong just in time. No? So we've covered just in time previously, but this is the philosophy that activities are undertaken only as needed or demanded. No? So JIT is a production system, also known as fully through approach, in which materials are purchased and units are produced only as needed to meet the actual customer demand. So what are the different financial benefits of JIT? Ito nga, just in time. Of course, lower investment in inventories kasi nga we don't really keep it, no? We don't really keep inventories. We only order inventories when we need to manufacture, no? So therefore, it also resulted to reducing carrying and handling costs of inventories, risk of obsolescence of inventories, lower investment in plant space for inventories. Kasi di ba napag-usapan natin yung class uh, sa inventory management natin, no? So we cut on the uh, ha- handling costs, no? Of course, storage, no? So reduction in setup costs and total manufacturing costs, reduction in cost of waste and spoilage, higher revenue as a result of responding faster to customer, and reductions in paperwork. And remember, all of these costs being reduced will ultimately impact our total cost of sales. Ergo, our total net profit as well. Next, we have the total quality management or ito yung TQM. So it is a technique in which management develops policies and practices to ensure that the firm's product and services exceed customers' expectation. No? So kaya nga itong TQM class, it follows a number of, or different surveys. No? Kasi nga, this plays an important role in terms of customers' perception. No? So paano yan? Imagine na lang, no? You are hitting all your key performance indicators, no? Meaning lahat green. No? So you're able to submit all your reports on time. All of them are accurate, no? But however, in terms of customer or stakeholder survey, meron out of 10 stakeholders, meron kang isa which gave you a bad survey, no? So meaning that particular stakeholder failed you. So remember, it's about customer or stakeholders perception. While you are, yes, no, based on data, you're doing very well in your job, but there's one person, no, who's thinking of the opposite, no. So you have to look into that. You have to focus on making sure to serve that particular stakeholder. Kaya nga ito, no, two major characteristics of TQM are focus on serving customers and systematic problem solving using teams up, made up of front line workers. No? So in order for us to uh, uh, kasi nga, di ba sabi natin, it's all about customers' perception. In order for us to turn around that particular bad survey, no, from a specific stakeholder, we should focus on, bakit nga ba? Bakit ganun yung naging survey niya? Kasi more often than not, meron naman din mga feedback yan. So we should be aiming to uh, make sure that we attend to those feedback. No? Process re-engineering. So it is a more radical approach to improvement than TQM. It is approach where a business process is diagrammed in detail, questioned, and then completely redesigned in order to eliminate unnecessary steps, to reduce opportunities for errors, and to reduce cost. No? So remember class, yung sa video natin kanina, um, Toyota, yung ginawa ng Toyota is they look into the processes employed by Ford, no? And then napansin daw nila that Ford is still implementing, no, outdated processes na, no? So we're in the assembly line, dire-diretso pa rin siya. But when they re-engineer the process, ang ginawa ni Toyota is at some point in time, they can just simply stop the whole process and then work on those mistake or errors that they found along the way, no. So it's really good, no, class. uh, Especially ang naging product, ang naging competitive advantage ni Toyota at that time is they were able to sell cars, no, in a price much lower compared to different brands in the western region. So benchmarking. So it is a process by which a firm determines its critical success factors, studies the best practices of other firms, and implement improvements in the firm's processes. No? So we can also um, we can also tie this out with Toyota, no? So remember, Toyota went to Ford in the US to look into their processes. So it's kind of benchmarking, no? So looking at the best practices and improve it, no? So that's how they do it, no? So they don't simply just look into the Ford's processes. What they did is they re-engineered it, no? Yun ngang just in time, 'di ba? Nakuha pa nila yun from a supermarket in the US. Mass customization is a management technique in which marketing and production processes are designed to handle the increased variety that results from delivering customized products and services. Ito naman, palagi naman natin na nakikita to, yung mga ito lang, no, kanina, ay na, yesterday, na-amaze lang ako na meron na naman tayong delay in terms of plate, ano, yung mga plate number hindi pa nabibigay ng LTO. So may mga nakikita ako, kanya-kanya silang paraan nung paggawa ng mga plate numbers, 'no. So sometimes, ah, meron pang meron pa ako nakita na may alam mo yun, may mga quotes pa. Eh, wala namang requirement dun, eh, so long as I mean, you can show that it's registered na I think wala naman masyadong, ah, restriction in terms of kung paano yung customized plate number that you'll be putting in your, vehicles, you know. So it's nice, 'no. Balanced scorecard, ito class, 'no, so we can skip this because we've talk about this, no, initially in a number of occasions, no? So but basically pag balance scorecard, we look into the critical success factors involving these four areas. Activity based costing and management, ito class, no. So uh, back in your cost accounting you should have covered activity based costing, no. But essentially in activity base, it is used to improve the accuracy of cost analysis by improving the tracing of costs to products or to individual customers. Kaya nga 'di ba ang difference ng activity base with traditional costing is in activity base we look into the cost pools, no. So from there we identify cost drivers, no. So in order to allocate ang maganda kasi sa activity base is alam natin kung ano yung cost lang talaga involved in say in particular department, ano. So unlike kasi in traditional costing, 'di ba? Lahat ng costs being booked, no, into one account, and then from there hindi natin talaga na-analyze which departments actually contribute to high cost. Next, we have theory of constraints, no? So the theory of constraints is a sequential process of identifying and removing constraints in a system, no? So when we say constraint, ito yung mga hurdles, no? Theory of constraints emphasizes the importance of managing organizations' constraints or barriers that hinder or impede progress toward an objective. Since the constraints is whatever is holding back the organization, improved efforts usually must be focused on the constraints to be really effective, no. So ito naman class, it's not uh, really or specifically be in business process, no. It could also be employed in humans, no. So yung mga skills, say for example, uh, in an organization, no, para pares kayong mga accountants, no. So we have to employ succession planning in order for us to be able to make sure that the organization runs smoothly for X number of years. We should be looking into also training these people, no? So leadership training, skills, yung tinatawag natin upskilling, no? So imagine para-paras kayong accountant, you're there's equal footing, no? So you have to level up and the organization must be able to support you in all those initiatives, no? So next we have life cycle costing. Life cycle costing is a management technique to identify and monitor costs of a product throughout its life cycle. It consists of all steps from product design and purchase of raw materials, uh, to delivery of and service of the finished product, no? So the steps include research and development, product design, manufacturing, marketing, sales, and service, no? So ito class, no, ang na-encounter ko lang na life cycle costing would be in pharmaceutical industry, no. So at least, no, in my experience kasi in Pfizer, ito na lang pag-usapan natin, kailan ba natatapos yung life cycle ng product, no? So of course, when they register the patent with FDA, that will be the starting point, no? Starting point of sales, ha? Kasi 'di ba well, essentially the starting point would be the research and development. Kaya nga ito, 'di ba? But it will end when that patent expires. Kasi nga pag na expire na yung patent, here comes the generic pharmacist copying that formulation and selling it at a much lower price, no? So kaya nga yung life cycle costing basically kaya mas mataas yung presyo ng mga innovative drugs. Sabihin lang natin na ito kasing COVID vaccine, no? So it's being procured by the government for free. But what if it's not? So it imagine the sabi nga natin, this is record breaking. They were able to come up with a vaccine at a short period of time, no? And well, in reality, in order for you to come up with one medicine, it takes longer, no? So sabi natin, it takes years to develop, no, those products kasi meron ba mga uh, ang tawag dito, mga part of the research and development would be to test it with people, no? People who will agree, no? So kasi check mo yung vitals nila on a daily basis. You would check them for the next 5 years, ano yung naging impact ng medicines to them, no? So sabi nga natin, it's phenomenal na itong COVID vaccine that they were able um, to come up, no, in a very short period of time. Next, we have target costing. So it involves determination of the desired cost for product or basis of given competitive price so that the product will earn a desired profit. So remember class, this formula, no? So this was introduced in your cost um, volume profit analysis. Next, we have the computer-aided design and manufacturing. No? So ito yung mga computer-aided design or SCAD and computer-aided manufacturing to respond to changing consumer taste more quickly. These innovations allow companies to significantly reduce the time necessary to bring their products from the design process to the distribution stage. It is the use of computers in product development, analysis, and design modification to improve the quality and performance of the product. Ito na lang, um, back back in the days, no? So yung pag-create lang ng uh, interior design class na. Ito kasi meron lang ako nakausap na interior designer. Um, may plano akong paayos yung bahay sa may plano akong kunin na bahay na anong tawag dito? Bare, no, sa plano ko interior design. Aba, binigay ko lang sa kanila yung measurement and all of that. Excuse me. Kaya na nilang mag-provide ng interior design using their computers tapos click lang ng click para lang mapapalitan na agad yung mga yung color. Syempre alam niyo na kung anong color, yung magiging background, even yung tiles, no? So it's really a powerful tool, no? So minsan ang saya lang na nandito tayo sa stage na where uh, this computer aided design really makes our life easier, no? Automation, no? So parang ito palagi natin pinag-uusapan, no? So it involves and requires relatively large investment in computers, computer programming, machines, and equipment. Kaya nga class, no? So ito yung sinasabi natin, no? So sabi natin para pares kayong mga accountant, no? So what will put you to the next level would be yun nga, upskilling, no? So imagine kung accountant ka na marunong ka sa programming, no? So that's really an edge for you. E-commerce, no? So electronic commerce. Ito na lang, relate na relate ka dito. Shopee, uh, even Lazada, no? So Amazon, no? So yeah, they also revolutionize the way of selling. Meron pa ngayon tinatawag na Facebook Live. So ang tawag na naman sa mga people who patronize this live selling, miners. Akala niyo hindi ko alam 'yan, So kailangan mo lang pala i-mine para makabili mo yung product kasi ito one time, no? It's just para lang ma-experience, no? So I went to kasi Shopee, no? So 112233 ito nga 77, no? So sucker ako ng mga ganyan, no? I'm sure uh, meron din kayong mga inaabangan na products, no? Ang binili ko nung 77 coffee pods, no, from yung mahilig kasi ako sa kape class, yung ah, Dolce Gusto, no. So imagine binibili ko 'yun kung hindi sale, binibili ko siya ng 500 pesos per box, no. So I got 3 boxes for 998 pesos only, no. So kaya importante na abutan yung mga 7-7 and 8-8, no? So next time naman 8-8. No? Well, going back to e-commerce. Pumunta ako sa Shopee, merong Shopee Live, no? So punta ako sa live, meron pang mga acronym na ginagamit. Sakit lang. Ano nga yung acronym? SSD. SSD. So syempre ako, nag-o-observe muna ako, ano ba 'tong SSD? Kasi may gusto akong item, kailangan mo pala SSD. So una mo munang gagawin mine, 'no? So pagkatapos ng mine, SSD. Ang ibig palang sabihin ng SSD class, screenshot done. Kasi kailangan mo i-screenshot 'yon, then afterwards you will send it to the seller para malaman na kung ano yung dapat na i-check out mo para i-bill ka, and then you check it out. Ako lang ba yung naka-experience nun? Sige nga, pa-chat niyo nga ako kung na-encounter niyo na rin yun. Me o nakapag-mine na ba kayo using Shopee Live? O sige, si Lauren mukhang nakapag-mine na. Okay, sige. So yun 'no, so exciting kasi hindi mo makukuha yung product kasi it's on limited number. So hindi mo siya makukuha unless mag-mine ka. Dapat pabilisan yun 'no, kasi marami talaga. Imagine yung live selling na yun, I think thousands of people are there 'no, at that time 'no. So it's exciting, ano lang, na-amaze lang ako 'no. So this is how, selling is also done this time 'no. And finally, we have mukhang ako lang nagma-mine sa inyo, eh, wala naman yata nagma-mine sa inyo sa Shopee. Next, we have the value chain. Ito madalas natin naririnig, recently 'no, so sa newly elected president natin who also chaired the Department of Agriculture, no? So sabi niya, they will look into the value chain daw of the food industry, no? So to help in the crisis at the moment. So ano ba yung value chain? It refers to the sequence of business function in which usefulness is added to the product or service of a company. So the term value refers to the increase in the usefulness of the product or service and a result its value to the customer. The value chain is an analysis tool that the firms use to identify specific steps required to provide the product or service to the customers. The key idea of this concept is that the firm studies each step in its operation to determine how each activity contributes to the firm's competitiveness and profits. No? So basically, what this administration is planning is they will look into the value chain of the food industry in agriculture, and then find ways, no, in order to improve it, and also uh, add value to those procedures or steps. Okay. Oh, yun na pala. So that concludes our discussion for today. Now, again, class na, just like in the previous sessions, so if you have questions, you can always feel free to send me an email via markgibson.manawis@yahoo.com.ph, or kung shy type ka, you can course it to your class middle and si Therese, no? So she's very helpful, very timely also in communicating issues, no, and concerns, no. So for feedback, yun palagi, no. So we're open to feedback and suggestions, no. So we are down to last few topics for SCM part 2. Yun nga, exciting part is we will be dealing with theoretical topics na lang, no. So this time during the second half, no. So tapos na tayo dun sa more challenging topics, no? Ay, wait lang. Ma'am D, andyan ka pala? Ma'am D, tapos na po yung klase ko. Meron po kayo announcement?
Wala naman, wala naman.
Okay,
Okey
ma'am.
naman. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. In class,
Nasaan ang recording sa'min ni Sir Calvin, ha? Hindi kasi siya naka-attend.
sige po, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sige,
Anyway
ma'am.
na.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. So yun, class, no? So thank you for attending this session, no? So thank you for waking up. So yun palang paggising ng 8 a.m., no? So maraming salamat. Stay safe and stay healthy. Yung palang assignment posted na. There will be no quiz na for this topic. Assignment lang, no? It's no-brainer. Sinabi ko lang doon na isip ko lang ng entity, then assess whether it's implementing cost leadership or product differentiation. So, okay. So, sige. Thank you. Stay safe and stay healthy. See you again next time.
Thank you po, sir.
Sige, ingat kayo.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you po.